Okay, let's get the conversation on the road. Morning, Assistant Secretary, Nigerian Union of Teachers in Edo State. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Yeah, good morning.
Appreciate it.
Point of correction, I'm an Assistant Secretary General.
Okay, Assistant Secretary General. Yeah. Okay, that's correction taken. Okay, again, we appreciate you for coming. Thank you so much. Reverend Canon Timothy Udao is an expert in education, especially where it has to do with vocational and technical education. He has been here severally to talk about how we can raise our game regarding technical and vocational education in this country, drawing examples, for instance, from other countries like England. Thank you again for coming this morning.
Thank you.
They have been very from the conversation you had with Sunny Duke on Monday on radio. We thought we could draw on that and also expand the narrative this morning on television, gentlemen. But I want us to look at first the state of teaching in Nigeria as of today. When you hear people who have seen both sides of the coin, by that I mean people who had maybe been to universities in the 70s, maybe in the late 60s, for instance, and then they try to juxtapose what existed then and what we have today. And then you hear them say the standards of education have fallen in Nigeria. For much younger persons like myself, we can't place a finger on what exactly that means. So I want you to help us make sense of that, Reverend Nigodaro.
I want to say that the standard of education has not fallen,
okay,
but the standard of discipline has fallen.
So there's a difference between
There's a difference between the two. So that is why, as I was discussing the other day, some of the things I learned in the university is what they are learning today in the senior secondary school. Is what they are learning today in the technical colleges. We didn't do it when we were in secondary school because it was added as an advanced level program. But today we are adding it to that of the senior and the technical colleges. That's what they are doing. You get what I'm saying? Before this time, we have trade center. For science, you are taking carpentry now. You will take carpentry, you take joinery, you take woodwork. That's all. But today, you are going to take physics, chemistry, mathematics, English, take carpentry, joinery, take woodwork, take literature, and take economics. You see that the standard of education is rising, but the discipline that accompanies it is what has fallen. So we have allowed ourselves we have allowed our teachers to make mistakes. And when those teachers
who do you refer to as we now? Government or the people?
Yes, I mean the society.
Okay.
The society allowed the teachers to make mistakes. And when they created that mistake for the teacher, as I said earlier, when a teacher makes a mistake, nobody dies immediately. But children yet unborn are going to suffer from that mistake.
Are we suffering from such a mistake?
That's what we are seeing now. Indiscipline, you are seeing in social media. A student will be telling his teacher, I can pay your salary. What are you doing? Open the gate and let me come in. Whether I'm late or not, it doesn't matter. Everything goes. So we have heard it. You have also seen the other day where a parent led a mob into the school to beat up a teacher. In those days, it's unheard of. A teacher is reverend. That's why they wear short knicker and put barrel in their pocket. No money, we know. But wherever they go, there's reverence. They say this one spreads knowledge. This one is informed. This one is the one that is learned. A teacher is learned. He has gone through schools. He has gone through society. He is blended them. A teacher will take what is wrong in the society, take it to the school, correct it, and send it back to the community, and the community will rejoice. That is their work. So because of that, the standard of education has not fallen. It is growing. What people are learning today are very. When we are in the university, we study classical mechanics. But today, they are studying classical mechanics. They are also studying what we call the science of the small. They have added it because of what? Semiconductor devices. You know, you have smartphones and everything now. It's because of semiconductor. The movement of those electrons between those semiconductors cannot be explained by classical mechanics. So knowledge is growing. As a result, education is growing. But the discipline associated with it, it is an iron. It is a serious problem to engage in exam malpractice in those days. But today, it's being tolerated. So many governments are tolerating, many institutions are tolerating it. If they don't provide it, they provide way for it. So if you begin to look at what is now responsible for exam malpractice, it's not only because children copy in class. Whatever happens, whether omission or commission, what you're supposed to do, you did not do, that now later turn around to encourage exam malpractice, that person has committed exam malpractice.
I'm going to allow you to catch your breath quickly, but let's just remind our viewers that we'll make it interactive for you in a moment when we open our phone line, so you can call in and then also lend your voice to this discussion we're having on the program this morning. But please remember, it's not political, it's not partisan either, all right? So when you call, stay with the issues. We're talking about teaching and teachers in Nigeria, especially in light of this approval by the president for new teacher salary and then years of service for them as well. Let me turn to you now, Morning Mike Modesty. If we say education is getting better, like Reverend just talked about education getting better, knowledge increasing, even though there's a problem with discipline, can we say same of teachers? Can we say that teachers are getting better by the day? Because some persons are now saying that these approvals by the president signal a change for the better for teachers in Nigeria. How much of truth do we have in that?
Well, let me first and foremost concur with what Reverend Iwunara has just said. Most times we tend to mix standard with quality.
Yeah, are they two different things?
They are two different things. The standard has always remained upwards. It has been moving. It has been moving. If you listen to him very well by the examples he has made, like when between primary 1 to primary 6, we were not doing more than 6 subjects. Then, but I can tell you, as we speak, children in primary 1 to primary 6 today, they do as many as up to 12, 15 subjects. We never knew what computer meant then. A lot of things. Ours was reading, writing, and arithmetics, the area of concentration. But today, it's no longer so. Standard is increasing. For instance, let's come back to Edo State, for instance. Our teachers are all digital teachers now, so to speak, in the basic education. Virtually all of them are digital. They are no longer analog teachers. Standard is increasing. Our children are now learning through the use of technology. Standard is increasing, but quality is dropping. Quality is not matching the rising standards. And the drop in quality is as a result of many factors. Teachers' welfare and condition of service, terribly poor. Our school system. People paying more attention to those, even parents, aiding and abetting children to cheat in exams. Or a child that's supposed to be in primary 1, because your neighbor's child is in primary 2, you move the child to be in primary 2. Because mental age and chronological age, they are very, very useful in the issue of education. For instance, when teachers are to be paid salaries, their own salaries for 6, 7 months, you want them to go and use their blood to teach the children, quality will definitely go. The zeal to bring in their best into it will not be there. No matter the standard you are setting, then attaining the objectives and the aims will be defeated. So let me say, there's a difference between standard and quality. So the issue of Mr. President's approval, yes, right step in the right direction. You say those days, our parents will say this and that. That was those days. Those days, teaching was of the highest importance to the society. And don't also forget, the population was very small, very tiny population. But the quality of teachers and all factors put together, infrastructure, measuring, every other thing you need to measure in the education system, they were virtually close to 100% present. And the teacher was the pride in any community. The teacher is the only worker, teachers are the only workers you can find in any area, in any geographical location in Nigeria, whether inside the river. They are present. If you go to Ilaja, those are coastal communities, you meet teachers there, they are there. The only set of workers you can find anywhere, even in hamlets. If a school is established in Sabisa Forest, then the teachers are bound to be there. They can't say no. So Mr. President has taught it wise through the almost 2-decade fight of the Nigerian Union of Teachers on means and ways of improving the education sector. Because once you get education right, every other thing will be right. Even the issue of corruption can be killed by a good quality standardized educational system. The issue of corruption can be nipped. Because once a teacher makes a mistake, it's forever. You can't correct it. Corrections can only be done when it is quickly identified and another teacher comes to correct it. So what the president is aiming at is to ensure that we have the best quality of teachers. We have the best quality of environment. We have the best quality of infrastructure. We have those things that will be in place that will make the teachers through thick and thin to be present to do their job. without looking for transfer from villages to the city. What is obtainable in Benin City should be what is obtainable in Zamfara. What is paid as salary in Lagos should be what is paid in Maiduguri. Terms and conditions of service the same. A teacher who wants to relocate from Edo State to Benikabi can do so. Uniformity. So once that is established, I'm telling you, every other problem we are having, we will start solving them.
The president raised specific issues with this approval. For example, he talked about low-cost housing for teachers by way of also encouraging them. But we've seen and heard about low-cost housing schemes for teachers over time. Yeah. What makes this one peculiar?
Why this one is peculiar? Because there's a direction this thing is going to. You know, education is on the concurrent legislative
Of course.
list. The statements being made, or the policy statement that has been made, seems to be an omnibus something. And like I said on the 5th of October here, that we are looking towards a system where the National Assembly will work in collaboration with Mr. President to pull off issues of welfare and condition of service of teachers nationwide from the concurrent legislative list.
Okay.
That's the direction we are going. My presence here on the 5th, if you go back to roll the tape, you discover that most of the things I said that day, God answered our prayer and Mr. President brought them to the fore. Yeah. And he gave his blessings. Because my union has been working through the day and night with the National Assembly, with the executive, especially with the Ministry of Education, and some other very important government agencies and others. The bill for this type of pronouncement was already passed by the National Assembly, courtesy the effort of the Nigerian Union of Teachers. But the death of Abba Kyari, the then Chief of Staff, kind of stalled the presidential assent. And I can tell you, that bill will find its way back and will have speedy passage, because the length of time required by the law for assent or decline has passed. But I'm telling you now, that thing is coming back to the National Assembly and is going to receive speedy passage, both by the Senate and the House of Representatives. It is time to get it right. In Germany, just many countries of the world, this is where they put their priorities.
Education.
Yes, and the president, God has blessed us with a very good minister. Minister Adamu has been so wonderful. I am telling you now, there has never been any projection or any proposal made by Nigerian Union of Teachers for the interest of education in Nigeria that he has never brought it to. Not even one. So what you are seeing now are issues articulated, jointly articulated by Nigerian Union of Teachers and the Federal Ministry of Education. When we went for defense during that bill, the Federal Ministry of Education, in fact, the first time in history that all stakeholders, even up to the National Assembly committees on education, everybody agreed in unison to say, yes, this is doable, and this is what we will do. And that bill didn't waste time in the National Assembly. It was passed. So if all parties are aware, for instance, teachers now are to have their children in their schools.
But is that feasible?
Yes, it's feasible. Let me tell you, why can politicians have their children in our public schools? We are looking forward to a situation where this one is established. A constitutional amendment can be made that all political office holders in Nigeria must have their children
in public schools.
Mr. President has taken a very giant step. And if we as people who are saying we want a better condition of service, Mr. President has given it, why must we not have our children? It must be leadership by example. Our children must be the first to be present in our schools. So that we must have that comprehensive and total commitment to doing our jobs. No excuses. So we are waiting that maybe between now and the month ending, the circular should start coming out. But because it's a concurrent matter, Mr. President has also directed the minister to liaise with the National Equals and Wages Commission, liaise with the state governments and local government councils. Because resources will be huge as far as implementing this.
Right, it's concerned.
And we are advocating. Let us not start talking about domestication here and there. Let it be a national law. And when the state law is at conflict with national law, the national law takes precedence. But all parties must agree for the spirit and zeal of Mr. President to pass through in this matter.
Okay, we're going to put a number on the screen for you now so you can start calling in and make your contribution to this discussion we're having about the new approval made by the President for teachers in Nigeria. We'll put that number on the screen for you shortly. But let me come back to Reverend Ighodaro now. Still looking at the approval by the President, where he talked specifically about special pension scheme for teachers. Of course, we understand that teachers are already part of some sort of contributory pension scheme.
Yeah.
What is the uniqueness about this particular pension scheme that the president mentioned?
Yeah, that what he's trying to say is that there will be a particular scheme properly crafted for the welfare of teachers, just like the contributory pension, although that one still has its flaw.
Okay.
It has its flaw, very great flaw in that. But if those flaws are removed and every teacher contributes his own quota and their employer contributes his own quota as and when due, and then the pension fund administrator administer that fund very well, when the teacher will require and is giving 50% of his contribution, while the remaining 50% is to be administered by the pension fund monthly to the teacher. The teacher will go about and spend the rest of his days on earth better than his beginning. Their end will be better than their beginning. So this is what we call discipline. If discipline is not allowed to thrive, this same thing will be rubbish. We have seen pension scheme being rubbish. We have seen people writing, even in contributing pension, writing to them that we have discovered that there's an error. We have decided to reduce the contribution that you have made without no reason. We don't know why it is so. So when the president said this thing, I was very glad. Let there be a law. And as I tell you, when a law comes, you see these people, they will work on that law and see the flaw in that law and exploit it. But the watchguard, that is the Justice Department, they will also look at it again, recraft it, send it to National Assembly, and we call it what? Amendment. So with that amendment in place, nobody can be able to tamper with teachers' pension scheme.
There's a set of teachers I want you to talk about.
Yes.
We have seen some people come out to protest saying they are teachers, but they want their engagement regularized. They want to be offered formal employment by the government.
Yes.
What category of teachers are those?
You know, when this, I think it should be this Empower scheme, they now employ some people to be teaching. They were not fully employed. They were for a period, a contract period, in which they are going to do this work. So some of them, after many months, or let's say a year of doing this job, and they have been doing it well, so they are now wanting government to engage them.
But some of them came out one time and said they were under State Universal Education Board,
Yes.
dispersed across local government councils, for instance.
It's this scheme that I'm talking about now. They are not full teachers.
Okay.
Because when you begin to because their employment is not pensionable.
Obviously.
So it's not pensionable. So after a period, you just they disengage you. But what they were wanting to do is that for them to be engaged, not only so that their employment become pensionable. So they follow the civil service rules and regulations in conducting their activities. Then two, they will have the opportunity to rise to the top. In any organization in which you are a key pillar and you cannot rise to the top, it is very demoralizing.
Right.
So with that nature, they can't rise to the top. And for them.
Okay, let's start taking calls quickly now before I get back to morning Mike Modesty. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Yes, good to have you on the program. Your name and location quickly.
Yes, Governor.
What's your contribution? Please turn down your audio on your TV.
Our president said all that students should go to school in Nigeria. All that students should go to school in Nigeria. The students are not going to school in Nigeria. That's what I want to ask.
Okay. I'm sure Mike Modesty already attended to that in passing when he talked about how that this whole thing is in phases. We'll get to the point where we also will have to put in place a legal framework in such a way that politicians, especially those who hold elective offices, will be compelled under the law to ensure their children also are in school, in public schools. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning. Okay, please, let's just be sure we turn down the audio before we make those calls, otherwise we can't have smooth. Yes, welcome to TMI. Hello, good morning. Okay, I'm sure network is being nasty this morning, but hopefully we'll get around it somehow. But just before I okay, let's take a few more calls and see how we can get around this one. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, tell me your name and your location. Okay, Favor, you are not a teacher, are you?
Huh?
Are you a teacher?
Yeah.
Where do you teach?
I teach ICK primary school.
Okay, that's where you attend, that's not where you teach. Okay, I'm sure your parents should be the ones making that call. You mentioned funding a while ago. I mean, this whole scheme, this whole announcement by the president will cost an arm and a leg, as they say. Some persons have raised the issue. I mean, in The Guardian yesterday, for example, there was an issue being raised already about how the government will be able to jack up the fund that this whole initiative requires. Does that give the NUT a concern, for example?
Well, funding, as far as we are concerned, while we were pursuing this, while we were pursuing this matter that the president has finally given the go-ahead to, we also suggested the means of funding.
Okay.
We did.
Did the federal government buy into that?
Well, I'm telling you, all these things will come to pass. You can hear, you heard when the minister was saying that Education Trust Fund has been told to sponsor teaching practice.
Right.
The issue of bursary to students studying education and others, they will be coming. Our own position is that the issue of primary and secondary education, if possible, are technical education. Because that is what is driving the engine all over the world.
Technical education.
Technical education must be taken as a national issue. And by that, it means everything about this particular aspect of education must be the responsibility of the consolidated revenue account. Many people are graduating from school, no job. So pick the issues of welfare and condition of service, even infrastructure. Pick such issues from the consolidated federal revenue account before you contemplate any issue of disbursements of allocation to any state or local government. And once that is done, these issues you are talking about, and they will fizzle out naturally. They will fizzle out. We cannot sit and say in Zafara, in a school where you have up to 500 children, you are having only 2 teachers. You won't have it again. Teachers will be, when I say teachers, qualified, interested persons who really have teaching will be recruited.
Not just because it's necessary to have a job.
No. The screening process will be tough. Not just necessarily because you have a first degree in education, you think you just jump and go. You will pass through the Teachers Registration Council. You will pass through written tests. Because competence will be the watchword. You recall when there was this issue of TC2 and others. Right. I'm telling you, some people will write TC2 final exam 3, 4, 5 good times until you get it right. They don't give it to you. That is the reason behind the success of the past. When you see TC2 teachers were performing very far better than those who came from other higher institutions who didn't get the grand knowledge of the TC2 teacher.
The background.
So, we must be enhanced. The mechanisms must be put in place. President wants the best brains in Nigeria to come into teaching. That is the essence of this.
Some projection is now saying that Nigeria requires about 800,000 teachers to cover.
More than that.
Let's say for the purpose of this conversation, we're doing 800,000.
Yeah.
Does this announcement cover recruitment of teachers? Yes,
it's going to. Mr. President has also ordered that continuous recruitment, all those who are graduating from universities under education should be turned into the teaching profession. Not that they are going to have an open license to just fly in there. Okay. There are still going to be some hurdles to cross. We have tens of millions of professional teachers in Nigeria today who are not gainfully employed. They are still struggling under 10,000 naira in private schools, 15,000 naira in private schools. All these ones are in the labor market. They need to be brought in, trained and retrained in the modern acts of teaching and get them into the system. You saw what the governor of Edo State mentioned on the 5th, that 3 years training program is going to be organized. While you are undergoing that training, there is a way they are going to be giving you stipends. And once you are through with that training, then you get into the teaching service. That is a grooming period, a waiting period to be groomed. So that is the state government's disposition.
Right.
But we need to have a national disposition agreed and arranged by both the federal, the state, and the local governments.
Let's see if we can take a call quickly now. Hello, good morning. Yes, welcome to TMI. Let me have your name and location and then go ahead to make a contribution. Hello? Yes, we can hear you all right. Go ahead, go ahead. But you have to turn down the audio on your TV set first. Okay, I'm sure that gentleman hasn't done that. Until he does that, there's no way we can have a discussion. Hello, good morning. Yes, welcome to TMI.
Yeah, my name is Sunday.
Okay, Sunday, go ahead.
I'm calling from Kaduna.
We can hear you all right. Go ahead.
Yeah, I want to lay emphasis on what the man in the middle is saying. Yeah, he's speaking about, yeah, I quite agree with him in terms of enhancing teachers, yes. But the issue of hammering on what the president, I want to remind him that this government is so good at audios. They will come to the media and tell you this, and after the media, they will do the opposite. Please, you should stop hammering on Mr. President, Mr. President, Mr. President. It doesn't keep his word. Simple. Thank you.
Okay, he's saying this government has a reputation for audio.
Let me quickly answer him. We must not continue to live in the past.
Okay.
The proclamation of Mr. President through the Minister of Education were all articulated before now. It's an outcome of decisions, dialogue, communications that have existed for close to 15 years now, where they have now ended up dotting the I's and crossing the T's before the pronouncement came out. I want to assure you, it's not going to be business as usual. This particular issue you are seeing, if you know what is involved in it, you will have a rating. Please have a rating on this matter, because you will see it, the taste of the pudding will be in the eating.
Hello,
the Nigerian Union of Teachers and teachers in Nigeria will not fold their arms. And we know, Mr. President, before he made this pronouncement, we already knew what was going to happen.
Hello, good morning.
Those things are going to happen.
Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning. Are you still there? Okay, I'm sure that caller isn't ready to come through to make a contribution this morning, but please just remember that you have to turn on the audio on your TV sets. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning. Okay, that lady wanted to speak up. I just want us to get as many contributions from you as possible to make it interactive this morning. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning. Okay, hopefully we can do a few more calls just before we tie it up on the show this morning. Hello, good morning. Yeah, welcome to TMI. Hello, good morning and welcome to TMI. Okay, let me talk to Reverend Godaro again about all of these issues. You look at Nigeria today, you realize that you talked about quality earlier, try to juxtapose it with standards, right? But again, interest in education overall is waning. Does this announcement correct this reality?
It is, you know why? You see, in the taxonomy of education, you talk of what we call cognitive, you talk of psychomotor. At the middle is the affective domain. That affective domain, at the height of the affective domain is characterization, character. So when that area is watered down, then what now drives the other two? Nothing. So they also will go down. You are a journalist today because you have interest in journalism. If that drive is not there, which is the affective domain, you will not be here now. Probably you would have left long time ago. So that interest is what we are trying to sustain now. For the teachers to come back again to their former level, the mistake that was made should be corrected, and a new drive, a new vision will be open unto them so that they'll be able to carry all our children. Remember, the kind of children we have now is different from the one we used to have.
Why? Because of internet? Internet
is there. They are becoming bolder and are asking questions which we do not ask our parents. Some even my he sees me coming. You say, Reverend, welcome. Now I'm his father. I said that to my father in those days. I will not say that, but I'm happy he's telling me that because in everything you cannot have 100% gain.
Right.
He's not involved in all those shabby works. So I'm happy. So, but the children are becoming bold. In those days, basket. We children say, open it, we want to see what is inside. So the teacher have a lot of work to do in order to be able to contain this bottleneck energy of this student. If he doesn't upgrade himself, he will be outdated. That's what my friend was saying just now. There will be what we call CPD for teachers, continuous professional development. And as I also talk of competency, as of today in Nigeria, developed at various levels national skill qualification framework. This national skill qualification framework was launched by the Minister of Education, Adamu, in February 2018. Members of the National Assembly in both houses that were in the Committee for Education, they were present. But do you know up till now, there is no legislation to establish the National Skill Qualification Framework, except an executive order, that means National Federal Executive Council that approved it. That is what the National Board for Technical Education is using to drive the process. So,
is that enough?
It's not enough. There must be a legislation, as we are saying about this teacher's salary. Once that legislation is passed, and before it is passed, at the time NUT worked on it, and as of today, the changes have taken place. They must look at it again. What are the incremental steps? Are they robust? So that, because what we observe during our time is that a teacher can be on one grade level for 7 years, for 8 years. He will come to the bar of the incremental step. So he begin to earn the same salary throughout the year, day in, day out. No, those is frustrating. But when these incremental steps are robust, and when at the end of the year you are not promoted, you are not giving an incremental step, it will look like promotion for you. So that you still have something to rest upon and continue to do your work. So that is the area we are looking at. Then two.
Just a minute, Reverend. Hello, good morning.
Yes, good morning. Austin. Calling from.
Austin from where?
Zaria.
Okay, go ahead and talk to us.
Yeah, what I'm saying is just like what the religious man is speaking, he's talking about interest. Yes, I quite agree with him.
You mean the clergyman, not the religious man, the clergyman, right?
Okay, clergy, okay. I'm sorry.
No second problems.
What I'm saying in essence is the interest, this government, the clergyman, okay, the interest of education has been shattered. It has been killed by this government. For my own interest, for my own view, they don't know the meaning or what it takes to be educated. Because if the measures they are using, the measures they are using is not home to write about.
But before this government, sorry, hold on a second. Hold on a second, Austin. Austin, hold on a second. Before this government came on board, people had always talked about how that there was so much of trouble in the education sector of this country. So it's not something that happened 5, 6, 7 years ago. It's been a long time coming. I think the consolation we're finding now is there appears to be an intervention for the better. Isn't that the conversation we should be having, don't you think?
Yeah, what I'm saying in essence is at least we need to know the importance and what causes the less interest in education. It's still the same thing we're talking about. What I'm saying in essence is at least in the past government, they know what education is all about. The facilities, the interest, there are more interest in education in previous government than now. Because what I'm saying in essence is people who are going to, who the less interest in education, because after you schooling, you will be less, you have less interest because you don't even know how maybe the job employment, how you're going to, people have less. I'm telling you, even in the employment aspect, people have less interest.
But unemployment in this country has a history to it, so it's not just specific to this government, is it?
I'm speaking from what I see. Okay, what about the employment rate? The employment rate, the employment for employment. The employment rate, if you don't have a friend or a brother, you won't have a job, even if you are more qualified than the person.
Okay, I'm sure we lost the call from Austin there from Zaria in Kaduna State. Austin is making a point, a case for how that the ratio between graduates and employment should be balanced out. But again, that's a long drawn out conversation. If you ask me, we want to pay more attention to teaching profession in this country and teachers in that profession. That's what our focus is on the program this morning. So let's take one more call. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, welcome to TMI.
My name is Loveday, calling from Benin.
I love it. Go ahead and talk to us.
Yeah, I quite agree with what your audience are saying there. The issue in Nigeria is education should be take more priority, more important than any other thing. Like what the other man was saying, that Mr. President said. Yes, they have been saying a lot of things. we have heard them. Even empower of a thing when they are recruiting empowers under teaching. Yeah, I know I've applied under teaching, but up to today, where are they getting the people working under empower? Because I've applied 3 times, I've taken the exam 3 times, and up till now, I've not gotten the job. So what the other man was saying about Mr. President, yes, we shouldn't listen to them. They just make all those announcements and the rest of them at the end to put it in implementation would be very, very wrong. So please let them continue with their advocacy. Let us see how we will go in this country. Thank you very much. That's my take.
All right. Thank you so much. Let's talk about UNESCO standards, for example, that strongly recommends that 26% at least of a country's annual budget should be dedicated to education. Yeah. And that should apply to a country like Nigeria, for example. Why is it rocket science to have that done? I mean, we've never had that. Even Madam Adamo, the Honorable Minister for Education in this country, has said that we've never done beyond 10% ever in this country.
That is true. I think it's not only peculiar to Nigeria. Many African countries are far behind.
Is that reflective of the belief of Africa as a continent in education?
Well, the fact remains that they will tell you that the sectors that make up what they definitely want to spend their money on are so very many. Health, for instance, how much do they even put in health? But now I'm beginning to feel that even when they are not even say 26 or 27%, so to speak, if they can see basic education, let's say primary, secondary education, combined, as a priority for the federal government, where a federal law takes absolute control of the welfare, condition of service, infrastructure, and everything of this particular angle of education, we will be okay. We will be okay. From there, they will take a leap to higher education. Because when you say education, it's all encompassing, both primary, secondary, tertiary. They are all involved in it. But we have not been able to get it so right. That's not to say they should not toe the UNESCO's line. We are hoping that one day we will get there. But for now, they will tell you it's not doable.
There have been insinuations at certain points of how the politicians, especially those in elective offices, have been able to permeate the ranks of the NUT, influence the NUT. Has that been true in any case?
I think if you ask within the labor cycle in Nigeria, the union that is most respected by any government that has been in this federation, they will open up and tell you. What is government going to do within the rank and file of the NUT? It's not possible. We don't go under the table to do businesses. We don't do that. I can beat my chest to that. We don't do any business under the table. We don't. That's why this project you are seeing that has taken close to 2 decades is materializing. You think Adamu, who is a disciplinary to the core, will see us coming to do business under the table and want to be interested in our cause? The National Assembly, the Senate, the House of Reps, and the President himself will be interested in our cause? It has taken a long period of time. And because they listen, they see merits, good quality presentations from the Nigerian Union of Teachers, they kept on buying into it. And Mr. President has done what we want him to do. And he knows if he implements this, if this is only attainment, this government will record for 8 years. And by rewriting the educational history of Nigeria for good, I'm telling you, the next generations coming, you will start seeing the outcome. Productively, you will see the outcome. Because as we speak now, the system is completely comatose, it's dead.
Education.
It's dead. We cannot pretend about it. Nothing is really working. The standards, they are setting the standard every day. The quality is not worse. Nose diving every minute, every second. Yes, first class. People are making first class. If 1,000 people make first class in this country in a year, let's subject all of them to an examination. To a comprehensive examination. And let us really determine, among these 1,000 people who made first class from our universities, let us know who is who. Even as far as our elementary schools, bribery and corruption is everywhere. It's everywhere. But we cannot continue like this.
Hello,
why is it that foreign countries they reject? They will tell our students come and start afresh.
Hello, good morning.
Hello?
Yeah, welcome to TMI.
Hello, good morning.
Yeah, good morning. Welcome to TMI.
Speak to the government.
Okay, I wouldn't know what exactly you mean by reaching out to the government, but just know that we're talking about teachers and teaching in this country this morning. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning. Okay, it will appear we also lost that call. Please just ensure that you turn down the audio on your TV before you make a call. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning. Okay. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning. Let's see what happens with this one. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning. Good morning and welcome to TMI. Hello, good morning. Okay, I'm sure those are the much of calls we can take this morning. But I'm just going to give us a chance to say one more thing before we're done. Let's talk about private education, primary and secondary in this country. There have been issues around regulations for primary and secondary schools in Nigeria, private primary and secondary schools, especially in the area of exam malpractice. People want to quickly leave public secondary school around maybe SS2, which is class 5 as we would say, just because they feel that they are likely going to have such a landing when they go write their O-level exams at a private secondary school. That culture hasn't changed for the better, has it?
It has not.
Excuse me.
I'm going to bring you in, Reverend.
And it depends on the private school. There are still some private schools, very few.
Okay. In this country?
Yes, that don't condone anything that has to do with admission brown practice. It's the mushroom types.
Also approved by the government?
Yes. And when you say approved by the government, how do they even get the approvals? From officials of government who get themselves enmeshed in corruption, lower the standards. Supervision is zero. It's a question of man to man. So that's why we are saying whatever is being in the pipeline now, is to correct a lot of things. You know what? When we say students are not doing well in our universities, our tertiary institutions, is because the foundation is very, very weak. And once you get the foundation of primary and secondary school very well, as they are intended to now, all things being equal, I'm telling you, the Bible says teach a child how he should grow, and when he's grown, he will never depart from it. When you have a faulty foundation, then every other thing you put on it will collapse. We were told those days, like I was in primary 6, and I could write letters overseas to missionary organizations. And they were bringing Bibles and others, tracts and everything. From primary 5, primary 6, we were writing international letters. But can we say the same today? Where did we get it wrong? Where did we get it wrong? Now, you see fundamentally, the issue they want to address now is the foundation of education. Kindergarten, primary, secondary. Once a child can be independent, I'm telling you, confidence will be there. Okay,
I just want to give Reverend a chance to contribute to this before we're done.
If you look at it, quality assurance. Quality assurance means applying every applicable law that enhances the production of a good product. That is quality assurance. It is also an exception, perfection, transformative, value for money, and fit for purpose. These are the qualities, these are the characteristics of quality. They are 5, but they are related. So when this is applied, if you look at the assessment process in our institution, there is no quality assurance, because all those who are supposed to take part in the assessment process are not involved. So few people take the assessment and then they publish the feedback. It's the feedback we are seeing. When you receive the feedback, these are people who are not supposed to be at that level. They are taken to that level. People promote their primary school now because you can leave from primary 4 to secondary school, which is wrong. People are carrying British curriculum into Nigerian curriculum, into Nigeria, and begin to drive it. Nobody is talking to them.
Is that why we have a proliferation of British schools?
Yes, because...
Is there anything wrong with that? I mean, a lot of you were also trained in Britain.
Something is wrong with that. You know why it's wrong with that? Nigerian educational system has a vision. And it is the British own has their own vision. Our climate are not the same. Our drive is not the same. Our resources is not the same. When you begin to create, using it to create a class, and at the same time, we are not seeing the feedback is not better than those from other schools. You know, when I started just now, I told you about discipline.
Right.
When discipline is not there in anything, it's going to go down. There will be a flaw. And that's what we are seeing today. Now, let me tell you, for instance, in our schools, what they are engaging in is vocational assessment. That is, a teacher will bring a project, they do it, and then they are satisfied, and they give a certificate, they leave. But none of them is assessed in the work environment, where eventually they are going to work. So by the time they get to the work environment, there is a totally different scenario is painted from the one they learned in their schools, which is the vocational assessment. So we are now combining the two, both vocational assessment and occupational competence in a work environment. So the assessment must come from those two places. And when you combine them, you must surely have quality assurance. I give you an example. If an engineer in the university is on the 3rd year, and then he's sent to, if he's taking civil engineering, for instance, and he's sent to ROCC, where they are constructing a bridge across the river, the practical work he's going to do is going to be in that work environment. And who is going to assess him? Not the university, but the engineers that are with ROCC. They will assess him, write their report, send it to the university. You see that the work environment is participating in the assessment of the engineer in the university. The university is also participating in this assessment. So what kind of product are you going to have? You will see a product that is domiciled in the vocational assessment, is domiciled in the work assessment, occupational competence in a work environment. So that is what is happening all over the world. So that you see the engineers, they come here, they are very good. But our own, we cannot compete. You see, there's a changing global economy. And this changing global economy, if we don't motivate our teachers to be able to drive the Nigerian educational system, as to be able to produce a product of high quality assurance, then our power to compete in this changing global economy will be very low.
Okay, I think that's the much time we're allowed to take, gentlemen. I just hope Nigeria as a country doesn't continue to play catch up where issues of education are concerned. Thank you so much, Reverend Canon Timothy Godao, for coming to join us this morning. And Morning Mike Modesty, as always, we're grateful.
Thank you for having me here.
Thank you, gentlemen. We hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Okay, we'll take a quick break and I will back shortly to put a cap on it on the show this morning. Stay with me.